I do think watching Mo Salah this season, and I absolutely love him. But if we know he's good, there's a tactical setup with Mo Salah in that he doesn't help Liverpool's right back. But that's I'm not criticising him for being lazy, not getting back. We lauded Arne for allowing Salah that role last season, and he probably hasn't got the legs to get up and down like a conventional wide player. But if you're not getting nothing going the other way, you're obviously losing something that way, but you're not gaining it going the other way. And watching Mo Salah today, he never got found out sort of defensively because he doesn't track back today. But he was off with the ball. He lost the ball a lot through the game, and that can happen with him even in his prime. But what I would say with Mo Salah right now is I think we're at the stage where I don't think Mo Salah should be like a Virgil van Dijk, where it's like first name on the team sheet. Yes, you can talk about getting used to up to speed, and we're at that stage now, 7 or 8 games. But in my experience with players, especially at Liverpool, players who are great, foreign signings for the club, more often than not, they hit the ground running. I would say 99% of them.
So I think there are others that don't. Gravenberch took a while. There are others that maybe do take a little bit more time. And the thing is, as well, this pre-season, I think for Liverpool was probably the most difficult they've ever had to go through, for obviously what happened with a tragedy and everything like that. So everything's been disrupted and been so tough for the players. So what that has done to a lot of the players, and that disruption must have been so tough for everybody. They've lost one of their, not just a teammate, also a brother to a lot of them. So it's been really difficult. I'm not worried about, as Jamie says, he's played in this league for the last few years. He's going to be comfortable, but there isn't added pressure when you play for Liverpool.
It sort of brings me back to something you said before the game, Jamie, which is that when Mo Salah isn't playing well, Liverpool are maybe having to have someone else as their star player. However, is that an Isak? Is that a Florian else? They're now looking for a different, pivotal player in that starting lineup. Who do you think that the future player that Liverpool build their team around is?
Well, it has to be Isak and Wirtz because they've spent the money on them, and their age profile compared to Mo Salah.
I still think he looks quite sharp.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think he looks sharp in those little areas where you'd want him to look sharp in the sort of like last 18, 20 yards of the pitch. But as the ball comes to the back post on 2 or 3 occasions, for instance, the Wirtz assist for him that would have been an assist at Chelsea, and you think he's got to finish that. Today, there's 2 chances at the back post. You think he's got to finish that. It's the technical aspect of his game that's letting him down at the moment for me, more than the physical aspect.
Yeah, no. There's no doubt he can at times look not like a world class, but he can look like an average player technically.
Arne, can you tell us the story of the match from your point of view?
It's always difficult to play against a team that defends in the low block, that mainly plays the long ball. But it makes it even more difficult if you go 1-0 down after 1 minute after a player of us is on the floor. And then I think if you would have told me before the game that against the low block, against the team that plays so many long balls, we would have created as much chances as we did, I would have not expected us to lose this game of football. But that's what we did. So again, enough chances to score more than 1 goal. But on the other hand, again, conceding 2, where one of the 2 was a set piece.
Is that kind of a repeat of the last couple of Premier League games? It's a similar thing you're saying.
I can't think of many who had a really average, poor... I'm not talking 7 games, by the way. If we're talking getting to Christmas, January, February, when you haven't seen much, you're a little bit like, ooh, because for me, history doesn't tell me that foreign signings coming into England take a year. People always say Thierry Henry. It's nonsense. Thierry Henry scored 25 goals in his first season for Arsenal.
He didn't score for his first 8, though.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is,
so
it wasn't a year.
So you do need to be patient, then? If he didn't score for his first 8, then...
I know, but I'm just saying 7 or 8 games is too early. But what I'm saying is once we start getting to January, February, March, it's a bit like, when is the time when we can start saying, hang on, maybe this was a mistake?
Yeah, and it's, of course, we concede maybe 1 or 2 extra chances apart from the 2 goals we've conceded, but that's also the risk you take if you're 1-0 down. So we always have to take a lot of risk, and if you then take that into account, that we hardly give away a chance, and then we are waiting for us to score a goal, and we have to defend the set piece. And like against Palace, and like a few other moments this season, we've conceded in a set piece, and that's hard to take because it's very difficult to win a game of football if you have a negative balance in the set pieces. You're never 100% sure if the next game you're able to create 8, 9, 10 open chances. So yeah, but as long as these players are again a setback, again 1-0 down, again playing so many times with 1-0, so many time with 1-0 down and coming back in the way we did. If that mentality is there, there's a lot to take into the upcoming games. But yeah, losing 4 times in a row definitely does something with the team.
But is the evidence there that they are going to click, that they are going to start producing?
I think the evidence is definitely there with Isak. Because he's been in the Premier League before, you know, he was fantastic for Newcastle. He's got to score that chance. When he's
and
going
Slot
through.
says now his pre-season's over. He's now ready to be judged.
Oh, and listen, but I mean, is there a certain game where it's okay? What do we have to get to? 15, 20? What I'm saying is, it's like you've got to. I'm not expecting to see the Bayer Leverkusen Florian Wirtz in the first 7 games, but I'm expecting to see him
improve. Just
little glimpses where you think, okay, he can get there. We haven't seen much at all, really. And with Isak, as I said, he's got to score that chance. That's not about being at a new club. That's just a poor finish. You know, he's not thinking of that when he's going through. You've just got to score that.
Now, players coming in, like Florian Wirtz, there's been a few moments. If he has the assist against Chelsea and Salah scores for him, we'll talk about, well, what an assist. He's off. He's running. Now, I'm not sure, excuse me, if he's going to be that person that's going to be always sliding balls through. He might be at times like a little bit like, I would say, a Luka Modric. Now, Luka Modric, you judged him purely on his goals and assists. You maybe think he wouldn't be the player that we will talk about, but he would be the player that would make the pass that makes the pass. Now, that might be Florian Wirtz. Today, when he come on, he showed me a lot of qualities, and I thought, yeah, he was willing to get on the ball. It wasn't easy for him. I think we've got a real player there, but it's going to take time. The intensity of this league, especially for someone like him, it's so robust, and he might just be finding that a bit more difficult than what we all expected. He might have to go on a little bit of a strength and conditioning situation for a few months and get him even stronger. But I've got no doubt, because I've seen players like that in the Premier League and I've seen him in Germany, he will be a success here. But, again, we have to be a little bit patient.
And with Isak, as I said, he's got to score that chance. That's not about being at a new club. That's just a poor finish. You know, he's not thinking of that when he's going through. You've just got to score that. But, no, listen... I think it's interesting when, and we've all said this in as a pundit, where we talk about how long do you give foreign players when they come to the league. Some people say you don't write the first year off, but, you know, the second year they'll improve and get better. But if I'm being totally honest, in my experience of players who've come to the club when I was a player, if I think of the great foreign signings, and the first one that comes to me, I'll think Sami Hyypiä, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Luis Suarez, Didi Hamann coming in. They all hit the ground running.
Difficult times for Liverpool then. They've now lost 4 consecutive matches across all competitions for the first time since November 2014, with Slot's side losing 3 Premier League games in a row for the first time since February 2021. And since the beginning of May, Liverpool have conceded 2 or more goals in more Premier League games than any other side, doing so in 8 of their 12 league matches. And Mohamed Salah has gone 7 consecutive Premier League appearances without scoring a non-penalty goal for the very first time in his Liverpool career.
We create more and more. This happened against Palace, happened against Chelsea, happened today. This also has to do with the changes we've made, but also with the effort we put in the first half.
Any concerns over the run of results, or is it just something that you know will be rectified?
No, of course, concerns if you win. If you win. If you lose 4 times in a row, you need to be concerned because you know how it works in football. If we can keep bringing these performances in, we will have a fair chance of winning more football games. And if we can do a few things a little bit better, we would even have a better chance of winning a game of football. But
what do you think? Is it time to start managing his career?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Jurgen Klopp did it a couple of times. He didn't like it when he took him off. I at West Ham one day, and there was a few words crossed between the two of them. So it has happened even a few years ago. So it's not anything new. I mean, do I look at him and think that he's a different player right now? I think last year he was so good early in the season, but there seems to be a drop-off. His form, his confidence is low. He's not looking the same player right now. But when you talk about like world-class players, and I know he's obviously playing a totally different league, but you still have to bring him up. He's Ronaldo and the age he's still at. Now, these are great players and he's so fit. I still think he's got a lot more to offer.
So Liverpool have got 2 away games, one of the Champions League in Frankfurt, and then they go to Brentford. I don't think Mo Salah should start both of those games. He should always be starting at Anfield, because Liverpool are going to be on top, be around the edge of the box, and more often than not, he scores in those situations today. But I do think with away games and helping your right full-back as well, I don't think Mo Salah should be starting every game right now, certainly away from home, with the form that he's in.
Was he on the bench for the Galatasaray game in Europe?
Yeah, and I think we'll see that a little bit more going forward. Because he's not playing that well.
Salah, the interesting thing is, obviously, there's questions are being asked about him, whether it's his age, whether it's his one season too many, all the other stuff. What you notice is the physical decline. And I'm not seeing a physical decline in him in respect of sort of like some of his sprints look quite sharp. He looks busy in the box. But just like crazy things like the ball comes to the back post, his technique on his kicking and his sort of crossing, that's the thing that looks well off. So there's a couple of moments there at the back post where you think to yourself, that's not Mo Salah. He had that chance where he sort of dragged it really uglily, like, to the left of the post. You think, that's just his technique. That Mo Salah could probably play when he's 52 and still have a good technique. So that's the bit that's surprising me, is the technical bit.
I think
it's the technical decline that we're seeing.
Yeah. But I do think with away games and helping your right full-back as well, I don't think Mo Salah should be starting every game right now, certainly away from home, with the form that he's in.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see that a little bit more going forward. Because
Would he be okay with that, Jamie? Would he be okay with that, or is he type to spit his dummy out? Or?
I wouldn't imagine we're not all great with being on the bench, but I think when you get to a certain age as well, I think we all have to understand that as well, and especially when you're not playing well. Where's your argument? I don't think Mo Salah's in any position, to complain if he was left out of one of the next 2 away games. But I do think always play him at home. But I think right now playing him away from home in every game, I think the manager should look at maybe something slightly different in terms of Frimpong.
His form, his confidence is low. He's not looking the same player right now.
Mo Salah has declined physically in terms of
I know,
when he
but
first came.
It's the technical decline that we're seeing.
Yeah, but what I would say is,
problems.
No, I agree. But even when Mo Salah's been at his absolute best, he can have games where he looks technically poor. He can he's one of those players who at times you think for such a great player, sometimes the performances, and this is not this season, this is over his time for Liverpool. We all know as Liverpool fans, and you put up with it because you think he'll score 2 in a couple of weeks. He goes through these little runs. Now, when he first came in, he had blistering pace, him and Arne. That's not there so much. But he still had a sharpness about him. I'm not quite sure that sharpness is still there.
He's just having a bit of a bad time, and it's like everybody else in this team. So it's very easy to look at all the different players. There's not one player that I would say, they're at the level they were last year at the moment. And that's what's making it really difficult, not just for the manager, but also for the team.
There's lots of dynamics going on with the attacking players and who aren't on great form and new players settle in. But that's where you go back to basics and start going, at least be harder to beat. Let's attack and defend as a team. Just looks a bit disjointed.
Salah, the interesting thing is, obviously, there's questions are being asked about him, whether it's his age, whether it's his one season too many, all the other stuff. But the strange thing in watching Salah is usually when a player is sort of usually a player getting towards the end of his career, what you notice is the physical decline. And I'm not seeing a physical decline in him in respect of sort of like some of his sprints look quite sharp.
Listen, I said a few weeks ago, maybe for Florian Wirtz, he's found it tough to get up to the speed of the Premier. It's not just about the goals and assists. Obviously, we know he hasn't got one yet, but it can be in general play as well. And we know there's a different physicality in the Premier League to the Bundesliga. And I heard Jamie say before the game, and plenty of people doing the right to say, it's too early to judge. And of course, as you just said, 7 or 8 games. But I mean, is there a certain game where it's okay? What do we have to get to? 15, 20? What I'm saying is, it's like you've got to. I'm not expecting to see the Bayer Leverkusen Florian Wirtz in the first 7 games, but I'm expecting to see him
improve.
Just little glimpses where you think, okay, he can get there. We haven't seen much at all, really. And with Isak, as I said, he's got to score that chance.
Isak, I'm not worried about, as Jamie says. He's played in this league for the last few years. He's going to be comfortable, but there isn't added pressure when you play for Liverpool.
It sort of brings me back to something you said before the game, Jamie, which is that when Mo Salah isn't playing well, Liverpool are maybe having to have someone else as their star player. However, is that an Isak? Is that a Florian else? They're now looking for a different pivotal player in that starting lineup. Who do you think that the future player that Liverpool build their team around is?
Well, it has to be Isak and Wirtz because they've spent the money on them, and their age profile compared to Mo Salah.